It's just eighth notes. What's going on, drummers? ParaDiddlePete, I'm back. It's 2021, and what better way to kick off the new year and say goodbye to 2020 than with some good old-fashioned rudiments. And that's what we're doing. We are going to look at the single stroke roll. We're going to look at three specific things specifically. We're going to look at three specific things. We're going to look at three things specifically. 1, timing and rhythm is relative. 2, it's just 8 on a hand. And 3, some actual good ways to practice single stroke rolls, how to get them even stronger, and even some real music applications so that way you can incorporate them into your playing. So you want to have better singles, right? Well, the first step that you need to learn is that everything is everything. Now, I know that sounds really dumb. One time I had this student, and almost every single day like clockwork, he would always ask me, how do you play 32nd notes, or how do you play 64th notes, or 128th notes, or whatever. And I would just look at him and I would say, like this. And I would play random singles at random and various tempos. A lot of people, especially young drummers and young musicians, think that 32nd notes or 64th notes or just seeing a bunch of black on the page means that you gotta drum fast. That means you go as fast as you possibly can. Oh man, there's a lot of notes on this page. There's a lot of black and white. I should probably just play like as fast as I possibly can. Yeah, that'll really show him he's music. A single stroke roll means exactly that. It's a roll that is singled, rather than a roll that is buzzed or a roll that is doubled. Yeah, I mean, I guess there are times where you have to drum at like godlike speeds or as fast as humanly possible, but 9 times out of 10, like 99.9999999% of the time, it's going to be relative to the tempo and the time signature. Because if your time signature is like 432, then the 32nd note is going to be your macro beat. That's going to be the beat that gets the number, and that's going to be the click that's on the metronome, not the subdivision. Or your tempo could be like 40 beats per minute, which is incredibly slow, and you're in 4/4. Now 32nd notes really kind of feels like a really nice normal 16th note of what a normal tempo would be. And like if you're on the timpani or the marimba or even the tambourine, like a roll could mean just going just fast enough to get a nice smooth sound. Especially with drums like toms or timpani, where the size of the drum really dictate how fast you're gonna go in order to get that nice smooth sound. It could really be any type of speed. The most important thing to realize is that it's all relative. If you're playing 32nd notes at 60 beats per second, that's the same as playing 16th notes at 120 beats per second, which is why I said everything is everything. Now that we've talked a little bit about the theory behind it, it's time to talk about how we're actually going to do this. What are we physically going to do in order to smooth and clean our singles? Well, it comes down to 2 things: weight and velocity. Weight is the amount of hand or the amount of like actual meat that you have on the stick when you are actually drumming. Velocity, on the other hand, is the force in how fast you are going from point A to point B when playing. If you can balance these 2 things and get them to be even between both hands, this is going to be what's going to make your singles a whole lot smoother. You have to have equal weight in both hands and equal velocity in both hands and in every single stroke that you do in order for them to be completely even and to sound exactly the same with every single note. The way you achieve this is literally just doing 8 on a hand and working on that weight and that velocity with each stroke and making sure that it's exactly the same every single time. And you know what they say, even hands make for an even mind. Okay, so moving on. Number 3, good exercises to building your single stroke roll. Okay, look, I get it. I'm sure that you're sitting there thinking, well, that's all fine and good, Pete. You haven't told me anything that I don't already know. I've been playing 8 on a hand since I was 12 years old. How do I implement it to actual music? If you had any teachers that were like mine, they probably gave you a bunch of really basic exercises and just said, go practice these and master them. And then you probably did, and then you were like, now what? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about next, is exactly how you're going to implement these extremely basic and fundamental exercises into your playing, so that way you can further your musical vocabulary on the drum set or marimba or timpani or whatever instrument it is that you may be playing. Okay, so we're going to break this one down into 3 simple steps. The first one being that you need to find, play, and master some extremely easy, basic, fundamental exercises that work on your single stroke rolls. You need to make sure that the exercises and warm-ups that you're using and that you're playing have meaning. They have weight. They have a specific goal, and they are designed for a specific thing. 9 times out of 10, the more basic the exercise, the better it's probably going to be for you. You got to remember, it's like going upstairs. You can't go from the bottom of the stairs to the top of the stairs in one jump, which is why I recommend this basic exercise for working on your singles. We've kind of talked a little bit about it in past videos. It's Sweet 16. It's extremely easy. It breaks down. It's 4 measures long. The first measure is 2 beats of 8th notes, followed by 2 beats of 16th notes. The next measure repeats itself, followed by the third measure, which is all 8th notes, followed by the fourth measure, which is all 16th notes. All 8th notes is right hand, so that you just have the constant right hand going, and then you work with the left hand and dropping it in. This is a great exercise because it's so fundamental and it's actually pretty versatile. Yeah, it's working on velocity and weight between the hands, but it's also working on timing issues that could be happening in between the hands while playing 16th notes or going from 8th notes to 16th notes. If you play this exercise, right hand lead and left hand lead at various tempos, this is going to improve your single stroke roll extremely fast. Okay, I get it, Pete. I can master that. That's not hard. I've been playing that forever. How do I play it with music? Okay, number 2. Find songs or pieces of music that you already know and just simply replace any of the diddles that are in there with your singles. This is really going to expose your singles and to help you see if they're actually rhythmically accurate or if you're just kind of blowing through them. Don't forget, single stroke rolls, just like any type of roll, is a rhythm and needs to be played rhythmically accurate, whether it has a bass or not a bass. But definitely be careful with doing this. Usually if there's diddles in a song or if there's diddles in a piece of music, they were probably put there for a reason. Don't go around just changing diddles and keeping them that way. This is just an exercise for you to test the actual rhythmical accuracy and the timing accuracy of your single stroke rolls, and also helping you understand how it can be implemented with a piece of music. Essentially, this is just helping you further your drumming vocabulary in a more practical sense. Alright, number 3, making musical decisions. This is really kind of hard for really anybody, no matter what level of your playing is. Making musical decisions and using your vocabulary that you've built with your instrument can be extremely challenging, especially when you're in the moment. Like, that fill's coming up. Are you going to do sixlets? Are you going to do 32nd notes? Are you going to do triplets or 16th notes? Or are you just going to do some cymbal work? Are you going to do diddles? Are you going to do singles? Are you going to make it a buzz? Like, these are the type of decisions that you need to make, and you need to start incorporating your singles in your musical decisions. This can be really scary because not every musical decision you make is going to be a keeper. But the reason you make those risks is so that way when that one magical moment happens and you're like, that really worked. That's what you're aiming for. And then when it works, you just kind of store it and put it in your little vocabulary box of drum fills or compositional techniques or whatever, and you know that that's going to sound good in certain situations. So making those musical decisions, that can be really, really difficult. So taking that exercise of where you're just working on the fundamentals and then starting to incorporate it in songs that you already know and changing it and adapting those songs so that way they're working for you. And then taking what you learned from those songs and those solos and that music that you already know and implementing it into new vocabulary across the drum set, across the marimba, across the timpani, across the snare drum, across whatever instrument it is that you are currently playing. That's the key. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it, and remember, don't get frustrated. It's just eighth notes. If you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. If you really enjoyed it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that way you don't miss out on further content. If you want to follow me on some social media, my Instagram is ParaDiddlePete. There will be a link in the description below. I post lots of like drum things and marimba things and computer things and video game things and pictures of my cats and stuff. Yeah, so that's it. And as always, Makla Choco!